Our mission is to train self-supporting spiritual leaders who are equipped for holistic rural ministry. So as I've stated in a previous video, our primary focus is to develop spiritual leaders, and so we have designed our program around this central focus. But there is more to our training than just this. In addition to training spiritual leaders, we want to train these men to be self-supporting. One of the big problems facing churches in the developing world is that they cannot afford full-time preachers. This is why many preachers end up embezzling from church funds, stealing from the church treasury, or preaching about giving all the time, preaching the gospel of prosperity. As the head of one African denomination recently told me, he said, "Our preachers have become a burden to our churches." It seems that we missionaries have assumed in the way we have designed our Bible college, we just assumed that our graduates would just naturally end up becoming full-time preachers. Either that, or we end up putting them on American support when their churches can't afford to pay their salaries. And that is really a bad idea because it forever makes these churches dependent upon American money. So this is why we train our students in basic agriculture and teach them how to use drip irrigation. You see, in Zambia, it rains only about 5 months out of the year, and yet you can grow vegetables year-round because the temperature doesn't vary all that much. The problem is water, because you see, in most of Africa, people don't have running water coming out of their taps. They have to walk 3, 4, 5 miles in order to get water. So we teach our students to use drip irrigation since this is the most economical use of water. You only need to fill your about 4 buckets each day in order to grow enough vegetables to feed your family. If you want your students to be self-supporting after they graduate, then the best way to accomplish this is to give them real-life practical experience. And so when our students come, we feed them for the first 3 months until they get their vegetables up and going. And after that, our students are self-supporting for the next 3 years. And this is the best way to guarantee that our students will be self-supporting after they graduate, because during the time that they're attending Daybreak Bible College, they are self-supporting. So they are able to master these skills. We also teach our students how to raise chickens as a business so that they can earn a little income. Another facet of our training, of our mission statement, is that we want to equip our students for holistic ministry. Thus, we're not only want our students to be able to feed themselves, but we want them to be able to return home to their villages and to be able to teach others how to feed their families. About every 4 or 5 years, it seems that some part of Zambia experiences a drought, which leads to famine and malnutrition. This is one of the reasons why Zambia is the most malnourished country in Africa. Teaching people to use drip irrigation, I think, would do a great deal to help solve the problems that are caused by these frequent droughts throughout Zambia. So we want to equip our students in agriculture so that they can do something both to feed themselves, and they'll be able to go back to their villages and help the people in their villages. Second, we train our students and their wives how to be teachers in community schools. Since our students are often the most educated person in their home village, we want to teach our students how that they can return home and teach in the community school, or if needed, start a community school in their church building. So we give our students and their wives practical experience teaching in our primary school. Third, we teach our students and their wives how to work with orphans and vulnerable children. And so our students and their wives get practical experience working in Karen's Kids Children's Ministry. Another thing that we do is teach our students basic medicine and the use of natural herbs and remedies so that when they return home, they'll be able to help people who get sick. In Africa, at least in Zambia, medical services are practically non-existent. And if you do go to the doctor, he has no medicine to give you, and people can't afford to buy the medicine from the pharmacist. And so if our students can learn some basic medicine and how to help people with the use of natural herbs and remedies, then that will provide a great service in the village. We also teach our students a lot about marriage and the family. Like most of Africa, Zambians are moving away from arranged marriages that were actually quite stable, and they're turning to love marriages, which have become very unstable. The reason for this is that they have not learned the relational skills that are necessary in order to build good marriages. Men still treat their wives like property. They beat them when they don't do what they want, and I can assure you women are just as bad in giving it back. So part of our training is that we want to equip our students for holistic ministry so that they can minister both to the physical and the spiritual needs of the people. You can't ignore the physical suffering of people in Africa. It is just too much. You can't ignore it. It's essential that our students therefore learn how to minister to both the spiritual and physical lives of people. Religion that ignores the physical needs of people in Africa, it is considered useless. This is one of the reasons why the gospel of prosperity has been so successful in Africa, because it offers the expectation that God is going to bless people here and now. I think this is also biblical that we teach our students to do holistic ministry. Matthew tells us about Jesus' ministry, and he says that Jesus went about preaching and healing people. He didn't ignore the physical needs of people. This is why we believe it is important to equip our students for holistic ministry so that they can minister both to the physical and spiritual needs of people. In the next video, I will briefly tell you about some of the humanitarian ministries that we are engaged in Zambia.